Well, Nick, you're the experienced campaigner. That was a bit of a horror show, with all due respect, wasn't it, the other night?
Yeah, look, yeah, that's not one real proud of. Obviously, went over there with a plan. Things didn't go to plan. Bit of a baptism of fire out there. They're a bloody good side, eh? Showed by their world champs, the current Rugby World holders. So, yeah, look, kind of shows how far off the mark. But look, I thought there were some positives out there. I know it's hard to kind of hear that right now. But yeah, we've been together, I think, as a squad of 33 for 5 sessions before that, and there were some things that we were well short of, and we know that now, and we'll quickly get there. But there's some areas that we saw a little bit of, within the group, a little bit of growth.
Yeah, as you say, like they're world class, they're world champions. Them and the All Blacks, they're really clinical. They don't seem to make a lot of errors. There's a lot of fundamental errors from the Wallabies. How do you sort of get rid of them, eliminate them from the game? Just like sort of, transferring bad ball, kicking out on the full in general play, not finding touch. They're fundamentals that really shouldn't happen. Yeah,
no, you're right. They shouldn't. We're focusing on getting clarity. Like I said, we've been together for a short period of time. It's a long year. Been together for like 5 sessions, and not making excuses, but we're still finding a bit of clarity in the way we want to play. Like I said, some parts of the game we got real clarity. Others, really found wanting, and we'll get there. It's like I said, we're going up against the world champs there, a team that's been together, under the same staff, same group of players for like 8 years. Have real, real clarity in the way they want to play the game, and it's bloody hard to stop. And we're getting there. But look, it's still a bit of pill to swallow, that one. Not quite where we want to be for a long way off, actually.
On that front, would you like to see Eddie sort of pick and stick and give the guys that he's selected in that test another opportunity? I mean, there's only 5 tests. At some point, he's got to come up with his best lineup, right?
Oh man, that one's for Eddie. I think it's more around finding what works for this group. And I think this is a different group. So, in every team around the world, you find a style that works for them, and we're finding it. But mate, that's a question for the boss, mate, not me.
Hey Nick, one of the blessings probably by getting beaten, well beaten, is where you're at. Has that been like, where you are? So like, there's no sugarcoating everything. Can you a World Cup year, it's years now? Like, is that actually can sometimes be a good thing to kind of get that reality check?
It is, yeah. I guess going back to 19, we had a really good win in Perth and glossed over a lot of things. Certainly can't gloss over anything on the weekend. And you're right, there's opportunities there. Obviously went over with an opportunity to win the game and create a bit of history and fell a long way short. But now the opportunity is to see where we fell short, and we fell short quite a way, and to really look at those areas. And now we know where we are. You're right, there was no sugarcoating. We were straight into it after the game in areas that we weren't up to scratch in, and we need to find answers in. And we've spent the last 2 days finding those solutions, because there's plenty of problems, but we're not about the problems. We're about finding the solutions and finding them quickly, because like you said, we've got 5 games before we get into it. So look, they're the world champs. They're a bloody good side. But things can turn quickly in rugby, and can turn real quick in 7 days. So look, there's areas that we know that we can control and be a lot better in. Like I said, it was a short kind of preparation into that, and probably found wanting in a few areas, but there are a couple of areas where we found a little bit of growth, and it's probably hard to hear now.
4 years ago, similar scenario, get beaten, I think Joe Bergen, you come back, and then you've got to play Argentina pretty soon after. Is that like the history of that, knowing you can do it, you can come back, and then against a checker coach side, like that makes it easy, probably easy to get up for it, knowing that it's your old coach?
Oh, it's easy to get up after a loss. Like it's there's a lot of boys hurting in this group at the moment. Would have loved a chance to probably play yesterday if they could, just to get rid of the demons. So look, there's motivation regardless, but it's we don't want to be the side that has to lose to get up to find a win. We want to get to a stage where we're a side that we are consistent, like the good sides in the world. Unfortunately, the history we've been is we've lost 1-1, lost 1-1. So look, as I said, we're spending a lot of time at the moment finding solutions and clarity in the way we want to play the game at the moment, because it's a little bit different.
Can you give us an insight into the belief in the group and why you are so confident that you can turn it around quickly?
Yeah, because in patches we were really good. And very limited possession on the weekend. That's probably the lowest I've had in my career. And in the small amount of ball we had, we were very good, and for small patches, we just weren't able to do that for 80 minutes. I think we did it for 20 minutes, really, against the world champions. And look, there's areas where we can control that and be able to get the ball a little bit more. So to be able to see it work and see it there is know that it is there. It's not something that's mystical and that we can't do. We've seen it. It's out there. We've just got to be able to do it consistently. Unfortunately, at the moment, we're not being able to put that out on the field, but we'll continue to train it, and we have full belief when we sit in a room and look each other in the eyes that we can stick at it and be able to put that on there. So hopefully, like I said, seen it plenty of times in footy and in sport. A week's a pretty short time, but a long time in sport.
Has it point out any hard truths, or has it been more about putting an arm around blokes and just come out with good solutions?
Bit of both, mate. We've unfortunately we're going to have to. There are some hard truths for us as a team and individuals, but nothing's personal. It's about where we want this team to go as a group. So we've been really good at that. I think saying what needs to be said, but we get an arm around each other and pretty supportive. But we know where we are and where we've been is not good enough, and where we want to go is going to be a bit of a ride there.
Vic, you mentioned things not going to plan. Not asking you to tell us what the plan is exactly, but there seemed to be a lot of kicking, deliberately kind of looking for the territory as opposed to kind of possession. Do you think that will continue? Is that the way that the Wallabies are going to play this year, or do you think that a better balance needs to be found?
Look, probably an assessment in the game of a better balance, but certainly wanted to. They're a big side with an aggressive line speed and certainly win the game line. So there was a tactic out there to turn them around as much as possible to sap them. As the game turned out, like I said, the possession turned out to be pretty low. So probably a better assessment there of maybe needing the ball, but also not wanting to run it from your own end. So there's a balance there that you're right. We need to strike, and we didn't get it quite right on the weekend.
And do you think it was just kind of the end of the game factor that it seemed to flow a little bit better? Like say last 10 minutes when the ball you were chasing a little bit and that you used the ball. Can you take something from that it seemed to be a bit more effective when you were able to hold on to the ball?
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, bodies are a bit tighter, a bit easier to win the breakdown towards the back end of games. But there certainly is, like I said, there's a balance there that we certainly need to look at. But also an effective way of that first 20, pretty good in turning them around and winning that territory battle. So look, it's a fine line, that one.
Sorry, last one from me, probably running out of breath, but discipline was again pretty ordinary, right? So you got to identify that at the end of last year. It's just a killer. A couple of yellow cards, 13 penalties. Obviously the pressure's got to do with it, but can you address what you've spoken about as far as discipline?
Yeah, we have spoken about the discipline and it being a byproduct of not doing the basics well. So you give up territory and possession, and you do feel that pressure, and penalties seem to come. So rather than looking at the outcome, looking at the basics and doing the basics well, and if we're dominant in those areas and doing them well, then the pressure's not coming, those penalties aren't coming. So look, there's some that you look at and probably just the silly ones, but a lot of them on the weekend were just a byproduct of copying a lot of territory possession against us and just holding on there at that stage. So look, if we play better, we're in a better position to win that penalty battle as well.
Richie, you probably weren't the Arnold that most Wallabies fans expected to be in the lineup this year. How are you finding being in the test squad and whatnot?
Oh mate, it's a privilege and it's an honour. Really enjoying it. The boys have been really welcoming, and just enjoying my time here, mate.
Would you like to see your brother play alongside you at some point in your career, or he's taking the big bucks, obviously?
Obviously I played with him at the Brums in Toulouse, Wallabies would have been cool, but it is what it is. He's up there doing what he's doing in Japan. I'm happy with that.
Any sort of banter exchanges between you two?
Oh no, not really, mate. He's happy for me, mate.
What was your best experience like out there?
Oh mate, it's been good. It was emotional, and the anthems and the crowd was awesome, and it's something that I'll look back on, and being able to say that you wore that gold jersey is a pretty special thing. So
You all like the differences between the French rugby? Is the pace a bit quicker, you think? Like I know you were on the bench for the first 50 or so, but what were your feelings around that?
Oh yeah, obviously French rugby's a bit slower, I'd say, yeah, I think it's similar physicality-wise, Test rugby and top 14. There's some big boys over there, and there's obviously some big boys in Test rugby. Yeah, the lungs were hurting, obviously coming off the bench at altitude, but yeah, enjoyed it, mate.
What like when you scroll back to when you had your catch up with Eddie, can you tell us a little bit about that? And can you actually believe that it came to fruition and that you have put on the Wallabies shirt for the first time?
Yeah, it was quite bizarre. It was crazy. He reached out to us, and obviously when I left Australia all those years ago, I the Giddo law or all this and being uncapped, I always thought the opportunity to play for Australia is well and truly gone. So when Eddie reached out to me, I was quite surprised. I had to sit down, and then remember afterwards I had to take a moment in the car and recap on what was said, and and here we are now, and it's been a hell of a ride, a hell of a journey. So
Your brother, I think, has been in New South Wales for a little while. I don't know if he still is, but would he likely be there this weekend to watch you play?
Yeah, we'll have to see, mate, if I'm playing or not. But yeah, maybe he'll come. I think he's up in Japan in pre-season. Maybe he'll jump on a red eye and watch. We'll have to see.
Richie, a lot of those sort of Argentine players have been playing in Europe, particularly in France as well. How do you think that's going to sort of affect their style and what to expect on Saturday?
Look, mate, I think there's a few of them that play in the top 14. I think they're quite aggressive, strong set piece. So I just think we have to front up front in defence, and yeah, I think last week we weren't good enough in that aspect, scrum wise too. So yeah.
Because you've quickly switched your attention to this week, have you actually allowed yourself a moment to reflect and be proud of the achievement?
Yeah, I have after the match. Took had a couple of beers and to celebrate the cap and whatnot, and yeah, just reflecting on the journey, and I got a lot of messages, and very special.
Did you get emotional with all of that support?
Yeah, very much so. So no, like I said, during the anthem was quite emotional, and being on the bench, obviously you got to control emotions because you don't want to. If you're starting, it's easy. You can just let it all out. So I found myself having to control that a bit coming off the bench.
And Eddie reached out, was it text message, phone call, direct, or what was it?
We actually had first he reached out, a message, and then we had a one-on-one. Came to Toulouse, he was in Toulouse, and went and caught up with him at the hotel.
As you say, it would have been a bit of a shock to get a message, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. To be fair, I was like, Eddie Jones, what's he want?
What did you say?
I was just like, are you interested to catch up? Want to catch up and have a yarn? And I was like, yeah, of course.
Not bad for a bloke. Is it Maroonbrilla or where?
Moolumbar,
Yeah,
northern New South Wales.
Not bad. Nick, you've obviously played with his brother a fair bit. I'm not sure if you played with him at the Brumbies. Were you back in time? Or?
Rich? Nah, just kind of left as Richie came in.
Yeah, ships at night. When you see someone like an Arnold come in and first cap, firstly, but you would have seen his brother and what he's done, but how much to someone like a Richie with his height, physicality offer the Wallabies side?
Yeah, mate, just his sheer presence when he walks into a room, certainly for someone my stature, I feel a lot safer. Mate, when you're coming out the tunnel and he's right there in front, I feel all right. So, no, mate, I think with Richie as well, not only, obviously, it's a big second role, but he's come from a club that's won a lot of trophies, and that's a lot of experience for us to get out of him. So we've been talking to Richie quite a bit around what Toulouse are doing, and obviously had a lot of success. So the habits they bring, and yeah, it's invaluable, really.
And Nick, Carter Gordon's impressive season continued again on the weekend. Not asking you to get into the selection stuff, but caught upon by Eddie, looks like he'd be able to handle the occasion pretty well. Yeah,
I thought he did really well, didn't he? That crowd was big and very South African and hostile. For a guy to come out there pulling the strings in his very first game, looked very comfortable, didn't he? So that's a testament to him, and how calm natured he is in that jersey. And look, he's certainly one for the future. It's going to be very, very good.
Richie, when did you start playing rugby?
Look, I played a bit of league growing up, and then a bit of rugby also. But then had a bit of a break there for from like 16 till 22. Just sort of went away for it, and then got back into it.
Can you, even the fact that you've been at Toulouse, such a glamour club in France, can you believe that journey that you've gone?
Oh, look, obviously my time in Australia was cool, being at the Force and the Brahmas, but then since then, over to Yamaha and Toulouse, I was very lucky. I think I just stumbled upon a really good club with a lot of superstars in it. So, it's been a hell of a ride over there, and then, the ride continues. Here I am.
So what was that sort of moment when you're 22 that brought you back to rugby union and sort of made you go, I want to make a real crack at this?
Oh, well, look, I think from a little town, and they, didn't really play league, wanted to go play league, and then they started a rugby team. And we're at the pub having a few beers, and the coach was down there, and he's like, come down. And first Roy was like, yeah, we'll come down. And I remember saying, nah, don't worry, he's talking trash, we won't be down there. But funny enough, Roy did roll down there, and I came along, and the rest is history.
Nick, sorry, just totally different topic, but the yellow cards, just back on that. I mean, is there something that you can identify as being a consistent problem in that sense? Like last year was kind of won a game. Are they all different, or are there spots like near your line, it's better just concede the try and not lose the player as well? You know what I mean? Like, it's a consistent problem for the team, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a bit different on the weekend. Parecki's half a metre off being over the line and holding him up. That's a huge play. Going from that position to a line drop out, and then Sully just competing. So look, there's an element of concede the try and don't lose a man. Also want to defend your line with everything you've got. So look, tough on that one. It's a little bit different. I felt like the penalty count looked a little bit different as well. Fair few set piece penalties in there that kind of sway it. It's not exactly ill discipline of high tackles, offsides, etc. So like I said before, we clean up in a few of the areas in the way we play. Well, then like around the breakdown, lost two to just Pilfering's holding onto the ball. So get our speed into the clear better. There's two gone. Get the set piece. A little bit better. There's a handful gone, and that penalty count's starting to look a little bit better, and it also holds you in a better position in terms of field position. So, look, like I said, we don't want to look at the outcome too much and the reason to why we got to that. So we'll clean up those areas, and we'll be in a far better place.
Nick, the Pumas obviously in a similar position to you guys now. What did you make of what they put out there on the weekend?
They'll be similar to us. They'll be hurting a little bit, and they'll be a better side this weekend for it. Like Richie said, they're a big side, come out with a lot of passion, defend very well. The All Blacks made it look a lot easier than it's going to be. At times, the second half was probably more of a reflection of the side they were last year and the side that you'll get for the rest of the year. They're a well-coached side. Czech will have them firing over here in Australia, and it's going to be a tough one.
Their achievements last year kind of changed the picture as far as them being an opponent that beat New Zealand, beat England, beat you guys well in San Juan. Did it change the mentality of the team?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think everyone in world rugby now is seeing them as a top tier team that can if you're slightly off your game, they can hurt you. So look, they're a very good defensive side. Kidwell's doing an amazing job with them. And they're starting to play some really good footy in attack, some really good shapes, very organised. So look, going to those days, they're a bloody good side.